Welcome to our first of virtual worship experiences. For all of us, the events of the last few weeks have been moving along with unprecedented speed. Here at Oxlip, we've been making changes on a daily basis, anticipating what we need to do to plan for the weeks ahead. Hopefully they will only be weeks, not months, but they might be. Nonetheless, we are prepared to do that. For the first time, all of us are living through a pandemic. None of us have experienced this before. It's important to keep in mind that pandemics happen. They've happened before. And at times in which they have happened, they have been incredibly severe, and they've worked a lot of devastation on the human race. Let me give you a few examples of that. In 2005 to 2012, there was a global AIDS HIV pandemic. The result were a staggering 36 million people died. There was a flu pandemic in 1968, also known as the Hong Kong flu. The death toll was 1 million. In 1956 to 1958, there was the Asian flu. The death toll was 2 million. In 1918, there was what was known as the Spanish flu. Even though it didn't originate in Spain, it grabbed that name. The death toll worldwide was between 20 to 50 million people. In 1910 to 1911, there was what was known as the sixth cholera pandemic. The death toll, 800,000. In 1889 to 1890, there was the flu pandemic, which killed over 1 million people. There was a third pandemic in 1852 to 1816, death toll 1 million. Then, centuries prior to that, there was the greatest travesty that we know in terms of human history as far as pandemics, the Black Death, where there was a toll in Europe between 70 to 200 million. It's said between 1/3 and 1/2 of the population in Europe died there. Go back centuries earlier, the plague of Justinian. We don't have numbers for that. Then there was the Antonian plague, AD 165. In which there was a death toll of 5 million. What will be the outcome of the COVID-19 pandemic? Hopefully much less than that. Hopefully we will be beyond this in a number of weeks or months, but we know that right now we have a great deal of uncertainty. Each of our lives have been disrupted. Some have had to cancel travel plans, others have lost their jobs. Children are at home from work. Nursing homes and assisted living facilities have been quarantined. Church services canceled. Social distancing has now become a way of life. Wedding plans have been interrupted. The stock market has crashed, and along with the crash has been the devastation of personal investment accounts. And there is pervasive uncertainty in how long this will last. The question is, how do we move ahead? How do we move ahead with confidence? How do we not give way to the waves of panic that we see, in which individuals fight one another and actually attack one another over toilet paper? People do strange things when they panic. But God calls us not to have panic, but to have confidence in the road ahead. The reality is we can, on a tangible way, see encouragement based upon cooperation across the party lines on the federal, state level. We see on the local level we are well prepared to move ahead. There's a marshaling of economic and volunteer resources to assure that we will be well cared for in this emergency. We can take great comfort in knowing that the best research minds on earth around the world are giving attention to this. And many countries are working a vaccine to protect humans from this deadly virus. Yet we still find ourselves on edge. We find ourselves feeling uncertainty. We're dismayed by the panic buying, even the occasional evidences of individuals hoarding resources. We find ourselves scrambling. Where's going the toilet paper come from? What about hand wash? What about eggs, flour, necessities? We are concerned about our jobs. We're concerned about our next mortgage payments. We're wondering if we ourselves are carrying the deadly COVID-19 virus, or if the person next to us or who lives with us has this disease. We've never been here before. We don't know how long it will last. We don't know how we will get sick, or if someone close to us becomes sick and infected, we might even die. The question is, how do we gain peace and maintain peace in the midst of all of this uncertainty? Let me read to you the words, the very familiar words from Psalm 46. God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in time of trouble. Therefore we will not fear, though the earth give way and the mountains fall into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam, and the mountains quake with their surging. There's a river whose streams make glad the city of God, the holy place where the Most High dwells. God is within her, she will not fail. God will help her at break of day. Nations are in uproar, kingdoms fall, he lifts his voice, the earth melts. The Lord Almighty is with us, the God of Jacob is our refuge. Come and see the works of the Lord, the desolations he has brought upon the earth. He makes wars cease to the ends of the earth. He breaks the bow and shatters the spear. He burns the shields with fire. Be still and know that I am God. I'll be exalted among the nations. I'll be exalted in the earth. The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. This is an incredible reminder of God's comfort and his care and his power and his greatness. We don't know exactly when this psalm was written, what was the occasion. The best that we can understand, it was during the reign of King Hezekiah, one of the last godly kings of the southern nation of Israel. They were facing incredibly uncertain times, not from a plague, not from a pandemic, but from the threat of the Assyrian army. It was under the reign of Sennacherib that the northern kingdom of Israel had been laid waste. The people was deported, the nation destroyed, forever destroyed. Now that horde of an army. In Isaiah chapters 36 through 39, we see the unfolding of that particular story. 185,000 Assyrian soldiers had surrounded the city of Jerusalem. They were cut off. There was no help from the outside. There was the cutting off of food. There was no escape. There was the cutting off of water supply, which was there. It was a noose that was tightening with each day. Emissaries in Isaiah 36 came to Hezekiah, mocking him. Why are you trusting in your God? Why are you trusting in him? Other nations that we conquered trusted in their gods. It did them no good. Who is your God anyway, that he would save you from us? Hezekiah repented, prayed, called out to God. A word from Isaiah the prophet came to him assuring deliverance. And then one night, God sent an angel, and 185,000 Assyrian soldiers lay dead. The enemy was defeated. The people plundered those soldiers. Peace returned. In reflection upon this, according to the superscription, the sons of Korah wrote this psalm, reminding us of three things that we need to remind ourselves of as we find ourselves surrounded, as it were, by not a visible, but a very invisible enemy. We just don't know where this enemy is. We know when this enemy destroys, and it destroys greatly. But we don't know where it is. But one thing that is reminded to us that keeps us steady, that our God is with us. He has not forsaken us. First thing that the psalmist reminds us of and tells us very quickly that God's people can live confidently in the face of danger. Why? It begins with a very strong and resolute word, God. Elohim, great God. The God who was there at the time of creation, the God who spoke all things into existence, the God who was the one who created us. This God is with us, and he is our refuge, and he is our fortress. He is the one who provides protection for us. We realize that, in a sense, our bodies are all frail. None of us are, in a sense, exempt from this, but the reality is that He is the one who protects our heart. He protects our soul. He guards our hearts, our minds. He keeps it all there in Christ Jesus. He is our refuge and strength. Second thing it says is He is our ever-present help in time of danger. Ever-present. Now, here, time of danger, He is here. And as a result of that, He is the one who is utterly reliable. We can count upon Him being there for us. And as a result of that, we can reach a conclusion. Therefore, we will not fear. We will not give our hearts into fear. It is the easy thing for us to do. That we are hardwired. All of us are. That when a danger comes, our minds immediately extrapolate to the worst of all possible conclusions. We think in terms of how those things are there. Reality is, in most occasions, what we imagine doesn't happen. But frankly, sometimes it does. But the reality is, whether it does or does not, we do not have to give in to fear. We do not have to allow our emotions and our irrationality to rule who we are, because it's not from God. God has not given to us a spirit of fear, of power, love, sound mind. Paul wrote those words to Timothy when he was in the Mamertine prison, understanding the time was coming for his departure. He says, God has not given to us a spirit of fear, and then it envisions the worst of contingencies. Though the earth give way, the mountains fall into the heart of the sea, there is uncertainty and difficulty, God's people can live confidently in a time of danger. Second thing is that we live securely because of the presence of God.